So I talked a little bit about the HP inflation the other day, and obviously it's not just about the HP, but also the overall difficulties, like how they deny most of the agent in the game with the new mechanics or the new kinds of buff that only allow certain characters, especially the one in the banner, and people eventually call this shilling. TLDR, the game is designing around who did you pull, and not really about your skill, your team comp, or even your variety of the roster. And as I said in the end of the video, I think we should be more vocal about this, so I made another video about it. But honestly, I do think that GU 7 at this moment is kind of okay, because I don't really see as much shielding. You could clear with majority of the team comp given that if you have enough power, but the difficulties of Deadly Assault is definitely spiking. Before I start ranting, I think I should be stopping before it turned into another 8-minute video. Anyway, I'm gonna react to Kate the 7 and go over what I think about the whole situation. But it's not gonna be the full video, I'm just gonna start with the one that I think I could give good opinion with, and I would highly encourage you guys to watch the original one, cause bro probably made the first documentary on how Zenless Zone Zero were progressing.
The talk around HP inflation
Man, that's a pretty dope editing, man.
really hit its peak recently with the arrival of the new Deadly Assault boss, Defiler.
God damn, she thick. What the fuck?
As this was by
Yeah, I would argue that the hardest thing about playing against Defiler is that you could only play with one hand, and she should be clearable with one hand. Yep, you know I'm
far
joking.
the most public outrage I have ever seen from the community before. And a lot of players will say the HP inflation needs to stop. And to that, I actually have to disagree,
Yep.
as I believe that statement isn't strong enough. So rather saying HP
Yeah, the problem. Oh, that's a perfect frame. Because if the problem lies with HP inflation, then you should still be able to clear it, given that if you have enough vertical investment. But it's not actually the case, especially with the boss like the Bringer and the Defiler. Like, it's extremely hard to fight Bringer without the anomaly, and it's also really hard to fight the Defiler without the attack agent.
inflation needs to stop. We should be saying agent shilling needs to stop, or at least not be as
Exactly.
egregious. But some of you may ask, what does shilling mean? Well, lucky for you, my good friend Nix has a great definition for this. Shilling is when something is inherently designed to push a specific character or archetype to perform in their best possible conditions, and in some cases, even overperform.
Yeah, exactly that. Sometimes they do it with the buff, sometimes they do it with the weakness of the boss. Like the last Deadly Assault was extremely shielding to the seed. Like that buff couldn't be used with anyone else.
And this is why I can't stress enough that the real issue is far more than just an HP problem. And in fact, if it was truly just HP only,
Yeah, but it's so much more easier to just generalizing it into the HP inflation, even though that is not the real problem.
then you as a player would not feel it nearly as bad. And to properly explain myself and point of view, we're going to have to go back to 1.4 really quick, when the first signs were being shown to us.
Like, when I actually think about it, the real problem was never lie with the difficulties. It is the difficulties that doesn't make the gameplay fun. If the difficulties doesn't translate into the fun, then I think this difficulties is not justifiable.
Back in 1.4, when Miyabi released, there was a new boss Bringer added alongside her.
Yep.
And Bringer was by far the perfect Miyabi boss. From the buffs he gave, the hand phase taking great anomaly damage, and being much more susceptible to freeze than other bosses, as he was able to be frozen for longer periods of time. Everything about Bringer screamed Miyabi. And if you are a longtime viewer of my channel, you know that I have had the honor to be able to help countless of players for the past year, helping them all to improve their in-game results.
Yeah, what he did is pretty incredible. Has to like go over so many accounts. Yeah, I think I did as much as about 20 accounts.
And I can confidently say that even back in 1.4, I saw people struggling, and it was almost always against Bringer. Anytime I would try to help someone struggling with Bringer, there was almost always a common factor in place. They didn't have Miyabi.
Oh,
And this could have been they were just taking a break from the game.
And one thing about the Bringer is his resistance is physical. And the only free-to-play agent that is really strong, and is also an anomaly, is Piper. They just rip away pretty much everything from Piper on the possibility to clear this boss. And that is when the expression of the team, the flexibility of the team getting taken away. So that was actually a huge issue, but people are not actually so vocal about it because Miyabi has like 90% ownership rate. So the problem wasn't really being raised because most of the people has Miyabi.
At that time, they also could have started the game after 1.4, or the one that shocks everyone till this day. Maybe they just didn't like her. But at the end of the day, not everybody was able to have her on their account for different reasons. So making bosses that shield new agents has been a thing since.
I mean, if you're intentionally skipping Miyabi, I actually have huge respect for you. Even though that's gonna mean pretty bad experience with the game. But that is not players' fault to skip Miyabi.
The beginning, and truth be told, there is nothing wrong with that to a certain extent, as it makes sense that a company like Hoyoverse would want to sell the new agents on banner. But where it starts to become a problem is when the bosses are so tailor-made to the new agents that playing other team archetypes into that boss feels horrible. It's perfectly fine for different archetypes to thrive against specific bosses, but other archetypes should still be able to enter that fight with a fair challenge. And this is where we now go back to patch 2.1 and the arrival of Yuzuha.
And this is what I said on my last video. It is not the shilling for the agent. It's always about denying the existing agent for them to perform decently on the new boss.
Yuzuha was the next big support added to Zenless Zone Zero, joining Astriel at the top of the tier list, being an incredible anomaly support while also giving general buffs as well. But with Yuzuha's arrival came a change.
Her general buff is pretty decent, but definitely not like Astriel levels, because she's designed for the anomaly.
As all Deadly Assault bosses will receive a 10% anomaly build-up resistance. Now this isn't the first time they have done this, as back in 1.4, Pompey specifically also had his anomaly build-up increased. But the reason it felt even worse in 2.1 is because of how it changed team rotations. All bosses needed 10% more build-up, while the agent that increased anomaly build-up for the team just so happened to be on banner. And on top of this, specific Deadly Assault.
Yeah, that's pretty egregious, man. And yeah, I think this is a pretty classic creating a problem to sell you a solution.
Bosses such as Miyabi Fiend and Defiler have an additional anomaly build-up multiplier added to them.
Gee.
This was such a significant change that months ago a friend named Shiro reached out to me on Discord, and he truly showed me how this affected his teams.
Ooh.
And for those of you who don't know Shiro, he is a very good player. But there was many cases now, without Yuzuha on the team, old rotations just didn't work anymore. Or in some cases, agents would have to change their gearing requirements. Two great examples of this is Miyabi and Yanagi. Since their release, attack percent on slot 6 was better than anomaly mastery for them, because they both had enough build-up at a baseline that it didn't affect their rotations, making anomaly mastery not needed. But now fast forward to today, and if you watch any high-scoring DA clear using Miyabi or Yanagi, they will both pretty much almost always have anomaly mastery on the 6th slot now. So the release of Yuzuha
Yanagi with her signature along with the anomaly builds up is actually pretty insane. I mean, like, especially if you're using this wing jazz.
a lot of players had to adapt due to the universal anomaly crease. And this was Hoyoverse's way of shilling for Yuzuha, making her feel much better of a pull than she already was. But now fast forward to today with the release of Seed and the new Defiler boss.
Man, I guess defeat.
We are now seeing even more things added to the in-game to make certain archetypes
like defeat
shine. In the case of Defiler, not only is there already an additional anomaly build-up increase, but there is also a debuff that makes anomaly deal 25% less damage. And to really top things off, some players are saying that Hoyoverse is trying to slow Miyabi down, as they're adding more and more bosses that are starting to either A, resist ice, B, be unfreezable, or C, both. But doing this has caused an unfortunate downside where other ice agents such as Ellen, Joe, and Hugo are now caught in the crossfire.
I'm not so sure about that because both of them are attackers and not exactly an anomaly.
So it seems to many players that Hoyoverse wants to create more bosses that really caters towards a specific archetype. But if you remember what I said earlier, at a base, there's nothing wrong with this. And it only truly becomes a problem when other archetypes feel they don't have a fighting chance anymore. And while I believe that we haven't
And that's what made players feel so bad about the whole situation. You're not able to play the team aside from the one that they designated for you.
gone that far yet, it is valid to have this concern for the future if they don't slow down.
Exactly.
So this is much more than just an HP increase. It really is all the following combined.
But again, I want to state that we are at the turning point. I don't think it is bad yet, but the spike looks really bad. And if that spike keeps going, then Zenless Zone Zero gonna be another money milking machine that's gonna eventually chase out a lot of low spender and the free to play player. So this is what we are worrying about.
HP, extra modifiers, debuffs, resistances, and in-game buffs.
I have thought about how they engineer the whole shielding things, but not as deep as Kate did, cause he lists all of this out. So a huge prop to that, man.
All at the same time. But next time you hear any conversation around HP inflation, I want you to all understand that this is much more than just HP, and it is a multitude of factors all working together, making more issues that could potentially lead us to dangerous roads in the future.
Can't agree more with that. Can't agree more.
Chapter 7. My message to the community. Recently, I have noticed that there are those among us that believe anyone who speaks up on this topic is just trying to spread ill will. But I believe they may just be a little bit confused. So I thought it was a great time today to spread this message to you all.
I think Kate the 7 probably criticized the Zenless Zone Zero the least.
So everyone can be on the same page. First things first. Constructive criticism is not toxic. Being positive isn't always good, just like negativity isn't always bad. Being able to critique the things you care for is healthy, and it can be the catalyst that prevents complacency.
If any other content creators say exactly the same thing, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it. But when Kate say it, I totally believe it because I think all of us has already seen how he put in the effort into feeding the positivities into the community. Like last time when Saint Tonta's spearheading into the flossing in you, he's the one who stepped up and asked him whether he want to have a talk or not, and basically it de-escalate the whole situation. And even think about that from now. And of course, the recent one, the collab with the Saint Tontas and along with the average luck gamers, you could almost always see his action is always based off how am I gonna make the community get into the right direction. And last time when Kate 7 invited me into the live stream, I think I mentioned about how I did the account review, and he said, "Oh, that's nice for you to help out the community." I actually feel ashamed of myself when I heard that, because what I was thinking at the time when I'm doing all the account review, I was only tunnel visioning on thinking about how am I gonna make my live stream work. I wasn't thinking about the community. I think he just gave me a huge lesson without realizing, man. Anyway.
Because once you become complacent, it becomes very difficult to try and change. And I, for one, do not wish that for this game's future. I speak up because I love. I speak up because I care. I speak up for a community that should want the best for their game moving forward. But if you still don't understand,
I think this is like one of the hardest video that he made. And it's almost always harder when you are trying to make the types of video that you are not used to. So a huge respect for him to make a video calling this out.
Let me put it to you simply. Someone speaking with passion does not equate to hate. Had we not spoken up about endgame variety, would there even be a deadly assault? Had we not spoken up about Hollow Zero, would there even be a Lost Void? Had we not spoken up about older agents, would Ellen Joe have even been buffed? Change happens because of our actions. So long as criticism is done constructively and not dismissively, and good decisions are elevated and highlighted for the good that they bring, then the game can continue to improve. So all I ask is the next time you see or hear someone discussing the game's future, please listen with intent and understand if they are only trying to bring the game down, or if they are someone who truly cares and their passion is just slipping out at the moment. And please
Oh.
never forget,
That's a pretty good perspective. I haven't actually thought really deep about it. And I think the best way to look at is really just tracking their record, what types of video they have been doing all along, and not judging them from like one video. Yeah, great video, man. Great video. I can't agree more with the message. Great job, man. And anyway, like and sub if you will, and see ya guys.